Okay, looks like we're recording good. Oh yeah, I'm glad you the TV dudes. I'm glad you guys are enjoying my Game of Thrones revenge plot.
It's great. We're enjoying it every week.
I'm almost out of ideas, but I think I have like two more in me. So
yeah, you don't run it too long. You don't want to pull a George R. R. Martin and do 2,000 extra pages. You want to keep it tight.
Well, you know what I could to keep it meta. I could keep promising to update you for like a year, but then never.
Man, that's amazing.
But then never actually, never actually do the update. Just sit around and hang out on Instagram or whatever George R. R. Martin does instead of writing those fucking books.
Yeah, you should start. What you should do is start a different revenge plan based on another show, and then keep promising to get back to the Game of Thrones thing at some point.
And welcome to the UGO podcast. Boy, it's always a come down when we have to do an episode right after our con episodes. But you know what? This one's actually a come up because I got a great guest for today. Woo! A great guest because we're going to be talking about diversity in comics later with Randy Lander, or I am. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be super fun. And who's talking with him? Well, it's me, Nick, the Merc with a mic. And I'm, of course, joined in the first two segments by my lovely unapologists.
Kyle.
Oh, Kyle jumping up ahead in the call.
Yeah. How do you like it, Travis?
Oh, no.
Well, we have a slight problem. Yeah, you take my mic check, I take your spotlight.
Yeah,
we have a slight problem, though, Kyle. He said lovely, and you just don't fit the bill.
Oh, ouch. I think that is my determinant on who I find, what I find lovely. And like Deadpool, I am very pansexual about the whole lovely thing. So
everybody's lovely.
Everybody's pretty lovely. So I think that's a wash right there. But yes, Travis also here, a little less lovely.
Oh,
now that he's got that. No, you don't look as good when you have that scowl on your face after you. I'm just saying you should smile more and make you look pretty.
Oh, that's like the worst thing you can ever say to anybody.
Isn't that the worst thing ever? Isn't that the worst thing?
You want me to go back in the kitchen for you while on that?
Man, you have a lovely smile. You should wear it more. But yeah, who's making weirdly sexist comments even though we're all the same gender? Why?
Even though we're all the same gender.
It's the same. We're being real derogatory to ourselves. Like we're all like, there's almost nothing separating us. Like we're all generic white guys in our 20s. Like there's something so to find a divide between us would be so arbitrary. It'd have to be like, oh God, the fuck you two and your goddamn dark hair, light hair for life, light hair for life.
That's when we would actually send you into the drink in the Atlantic.
Yeah. There'd be no door for me to share with fucking DiCaprio or whatever. But yeah, we're going to be talking about, to drag it back on topic, because I don't have a segue for that. We're going to be talking about, I do have a segue, because we're talking about our lack of diversity, which really qualifies us for later when we're talking about diversity in comics.
Right? Yeah.
I'm going to be talking about that with Randy. He's an absolutely lovely gentleman.
Don't worry, I have a black friend.
I have Randy is also a white guy, so.
Bravo.
Damn it. I think I failed to think this through somehow.
Could have at least even gotten a woman involved.
I tried, but ended up having she ended up having a reassignment surgery, and it was Michelle Rodriguez from the movie Assignment. I was like, damn it, no. And now that's a whole new can where it's like, okay, is it not? Wait, is it still good because it's a transgender? I don't know. I'm all sorts of confused. Maybe the PC culture is the downfall of us. Maybe Demolition Man was right, Kyle. Maybe Demolition Man was right.
You know what? Why can't people just not be assholes?
Or maybe instead I should take another movie lesson. But I should take a movie lesson from.
You can't even think of the name. Though,
I should not belong
from stupid name Netflix and kill.
Yeah, that we've previously done should be up by now. I do not belong. I feel like I don't belong in this world anymore. I don't know. I don't know what lesson I should take from life, but I'm positive it should be from a movie. I'm pretty sure that's where I need to take my lessons from.
Well, that's what movies have taught us, right?
I'm pretty, that's, I don't know what lesson I should take, but I know that's where it's gonna be come from. That's where my epiphany will happen. Yeah, so that's gonna be fun later, and of course we got some trailers. We got to talk about some trailers today. We forgot it last week because of PlatCon and everything, so we got some catch up to do. Same thing with the news. We got to catch up. So with that, we will just go right into the announcements. And I don't have a guest today, unless someone else. Do you guys have a guest? No, out of your hat, not at all.
No,
okay.
After we had to beat Cosby back.
Yeah, we had to. Yeah, that's right. Cosby.
He scared the rest of them away.
Cosby wanted to do the announcements against our will. It was weird.
He wanted me to try his pudding pop.
We didn't consent to no pudding pops. So we're just gonna do the announcements regular style this week because we don't have time to fuck around because we got to get to that great interview. So with that. Of course, always want to mention Tanner Hackle Designs designed our logo, the UGO of our logo specifically. If you need some graphic design work done, he's a great option for you to check out. Isabella the Derpy Dragon, of course, was developed for us by the lovely Kelly Main. If you need some art assignments or, some commissions done, she's a great option for you to look into. She's some great work for us on Isabella. Really cute stuff. Loved it. And of course, if you would like to help out the podcast at all, you can always give us one of those 5-star reviews on iTunes. Really helps us out with visibility and that sort of thing. Really helpful. So, and of course, if you would like to have something, if you have something you'd like me to promote or something, silly you'd like me to say, I will read whatever goes in that review box on the air, word for word. That is my guarantee. And I've done it every time so far. So I've proven I have no line. So definitely, use that to your full advantage. And of course, if you have any, want to suggest a topic for the show or just contact us with generally, you can find us on our webpage, unapologeticgeekout.com. We've got a new fancy webpage Libsyn gave us, so it's got some new cool stuff on there.
I actually haven't been to that yet. I'm gonna go to that right now.
It includes widgets and all the cool new bells and whistles that I have to. I still have some maintenance I got to do on it. May hopefully make it even look a little even better, but still looks real cool. And of course, our Facebook. Go over there and give us a like while you're there. Maybe message us. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at UGO Podcast. Am I forgetting anything?
You got Instagram, Twitter?
Of course I'm forgetting something, because I'm forgetting Kyle is doing some great editing on our Let's Play videos.
Yeah, now you've actually done some editing.
I have actually done my first couple videos for Horizon Zero Dawn. I think I did a Injustice one, because I would have done it sooner, but I had a convention episode to edit, because I realized we were falling a little behind. I'm like, I could probably put a couple.
Yeah, my work schedule's getting really fucking weird. Another person quit on us, so my. You guys might not be hearing from me much for the next month.
So I decided to pick up a little bit of the slack there, and hopefully I can do that. Maybe we can get a back catalog going, so we can keep consistent on that. Anyway, it's real fun, real cool stuff to do. I actually didn't get bored listening to our own Let's Plays. Apparently, Travis is actually pretty hilarious when I take the time to listen to him. So
half the time you don't react to my jokes, I'm like, all right, I guess I hope the listeners enjoy that.
To be fair, I'm trying to think of my own jokes and playing at the same time.
Okay.
And also, you're unfunny. Oh man, you know what? It was hard for me because I actually have this thing where when I say something that's not true, it actually physically hurts. Because even in my core, I know Travis is hilarious. So
I'm adorable. Shut up.
Yeah,
I'm adorable.
Bitch, he is adorable. You know what? He is correct on that. So. Yeah, have any adorable stories for us today, Travis? How's it going on Trav's world today?
Oh, it's wonderful. It's
great?
Just glorious here.
Is it just good? Okay, that's good. I just want to make sure you're fine. Yeah, this episode's gone off so far off the rails. It's like so far.
We seemed a bit distracted today.
I love it. I think it's fine. We should mention that I'm a little under the weather today, although I'm feeling a lot better now. I woke up. I was pretty sick. I got the sore throat, but then I took some of that Dayquil shit and I mixed it with a little alcohol, and I don't know.
Oh no!
I feel pretty good. I'm feeling really rad.
And he is probably going to crash before the end of this episode.
I'm feeling super good. Like, the only regret I have is that I pre-recorded that interview with Randy. Like, I would really like to give it nice and loopy on some Dayquil
and to our listeners, never mix alcohol with any type of medicine.
Yes, except for the type that's rad. Yeah.
Let's take away his keys while we're here.
I already ate my keys. Joke's on you.
Well, we're just gonna have to take his pants in a couple of hours.
Man, whatever happened to that commercial? I love that commercial.
That commercial needs to be on every fucking year.
Okay, for you listeners, go to fucking YouTube right now and look up Red Stripe pants commercial.
Yep.
That'll be the first thing that pops up. Like, may I take your pants, please? It is hilarious. But on the note of hilarious commercial advertisements, should we move right into the news?
Sure.
I did want to mention one thing from Randy, because I know we don't like to get too political on the podcast, but Randy made a pretty neat Facebook post that I thought I had saved, but apparently I do not have it here. Let me go and see if I got the saved thing on here. No, I guess no, I guess I completely fucked up on that. That was my bad, listeners. But
it was basically bashing the new healthcare bill, correct? Because nobody likes that.
Yeah, that was very interesting because he was talking about the healthcare bill, and I wish I could have. It was super long anyway, so maybe it's better that I don't have to read it. But he was talking about if he loses that insurance, he has cancer. He has actually, like, I think, rectal cancer.
Oh, okay.
So it's
same thing that my brother-in-law had.
Yep. Apparently, it is a manageable type of cancer. That as long as you catch it early enough and you keep up on your chemo and your treatments.
Yeah, the doctor basically told us, well, if you were going to get a cancer, I'm like, no cancer is good. But if you were going to get a cancer, that would be the one.
This is the one. That's your goal.
So, which, I don't know, it sounds so weird to me because it's weird that that's like the best form of cancer, because that sounds like something I would scream at my enemies. Like, I hope you get ass cancer. Like, that sounds like something that would be cursed upon you. Like,
that's only if you don't, like, you hate your enemies, but just because they're dicks, not because you want them to actually die.
Yeah. But anyway, he was talking about the new healthcare bill that no one seems to like. And I feel like that's not really an exaggeration. Like, everyone seems to hate that thing. And he was talking about that if this thing does go through, he will lose insurance and he will most likely die because he does not want to bankrupt his family, and that to get the treatments without the insurance, and he has a pre-existing condition. Yep. He has cancer. So
it's kind of a thing. So
he would not be able. It would be very hard for him to get insurance if he got kicked off, like 24 million Americans would be if this thing goes through. So he says, like, yeah, they would basically be killing me. And the fucked up thing about it is that they know that and they don't care. And it was rough. He is
given the bill doesn't have language that gets rid of that rule. However, he would still have trouble getting insurance in the first place. So
right. So he was very vocal about it, and it struck home with me. It was just like, oh yeah, I probably know even more people that are going to be really adversely affected to that. So I don't know if you're listening to this and you are still on the fence about the Republican health bill and whether or not they're going to be in your corner for anything really upcoming. This is a perfect example of what I think everyone on the other side has been kind of yelling about, is that, yeah, they don't really have your best interests at heart. They don't seem to be, if you think that they're going to have your back when you get sick, that's not how it works.
Well, you're not working, so you're useless to them.
Like, fucking Paul Ryan, whole play, like, he went up and had a fucking statement and was saying, like, well, the problem with our current healthcare, Obamacare, is that the healthy people pay for the sick people. I'm like, you just described insurance, moron. Like, that's how insurance works. But apparently you didn't know that, and you're like this, and he's supposed to be one of the smart Republicans. But yeah. Anyway, with that traditional liberal tears segment of the podcast that I like to do.
We should color code those.
Just call it liberal tears.
Just call it liberal tears.
Maybe we should put that in the description. Liberal tears between timestamp and timestamp.
Yep. Okay. So yeah, here's the news segment. Trailer talk. Liberal tears. Like there. That's where the timestamps are. But yeah, I did want to make it, and I'm like, you know what, Randy, if I don't think this bill will pass because it looks like everything is going against it, but on the off chance that it is, I will give you $20.
Crowd fund.
I will.
I can't pledge much more than that, but you got $20 from me. You can't buy a new iPhone with it or anything like that, but you'll have to make some sacrifices. Like our friend Chaffetz said.
Well, geez, at that point, I'd rather they just drop my insurance and give it to people that need it. Like,
I don't think you can do that. Like, but
like donate insurance plans.
Just drop my insurance and then take the money I would have spent on my insurance and just.
I was just thinking Travis was going to donate his insurance plan, like a abandoned baby on a doorstep.
You touched it, it's yours. It's yours.
It's like he's got all his tax forms, and they're all like swaddled in this thing, and it's in a basket. And he puts it on the stoop. He rings the doorbell and fucks off. Like he ran, and it's like it is yours now.
Somebody abandoned this 401k. Even though that's you said taxes, so you started going off. So I'm going with a retirement plan.
I don't know what. Yeah, it would be more of like a governmental insurance. But anyway, we're getting too much in the nitty gritty of the joke. Can't analyze the joke.
Medicaid on my.
Oh, poor little medical program.
Somebody loves you.
Don't worry, we'll get you the subsidies you need. But yeah, how about we get into the news?
Okay.
I don't have a segue. I'm out of segues today. Apparently, I'm sick. Fuck off. I don't have segues. All I have are.
You're typically pretty good at that. Considering all of this is ad-libbed, you're pretty damn good at that.
I normally I'm better at it, but you know what? I'm tired today, and we just got done with a liberal tears segment, and that always wipes me out. So instead, we're going to talk about Samurai Jack, because Samurai Jack came back. Did anyone get a chance to see Samurai Jack?
I haven't watched it yet.
Haven't watched it yet? You can wait to get to it. It's not that great. I mean, I would say like that was a test. You guys are fucking stupid. It was awesome, man. It was super cool.
Hey, I'm getting enough bad news about upcoming things being not as good as I think.
That was a trick. You guys are non-believers. You guys are non-believers. You are ousted.
No, we're believers. We believe in you, Nick. and you betrayed that trust.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize how much sway I had. But no, Jack is back, and oh man, he's so back. I don't want to spoil anything for you guys, but the anime, it's weird because it's like it never left. Like the animation is so similar, like like the writing and the pacing of the episodes. It's like it picked up exactly where the show left off, except it's like 50 years in the future. It's really cool. I've never seen a medium return to form like that.
Just keep going. Just where it stand back up and get going.
It just feels the exact same. Like nothing ever comes back and feel like it always feels like a little different. But it gives me that same feeling.
Powerpuff Girls were looking at you.
Yeah. There's no twerking Jack in this. Like Jack doesn't twerk in it, not yet. Anyway, he does fight a musical villain that's actually super awesome. Neat. Like he actually like kind of jazz beats his way through a fight. It's kind of neat.
Well, in my defense, for my lack of belief, you gotta admit, there have been, things we've been excited for lately, like, Iron Fist and the new Mass Effect game that don't seem like they're gonna quite live up to their hype.
Yeah, that'll be one of our news stories later. But first, I want to talk about, another not so disappointing thing, because I want to talk about, not too much, no, it's gonna sound like it's politics, but it's not. It's just this interview that happened with, South Korea, and their president getting impeached. I think I was watching Kyle, I was listening to Kyle watch the video before,
again.
Too. Travis, did you get a chance to watch this at all?
No,
you know
I
what we're talking about?
Yeah, they had a South Korean expert on BBC.
Okay. Yes, and it's,
Let's play it for him. This is one of the most delightful videos so far this year.
Oh, it's so good. It has everything. Let me find it. Like, what was it? South Korea,
Expert interrupted.
Expert interrupt. Yeah.
Now I'm very curious, because what is this doing in our news section?
Oh, it's nothing to do with it has
it's kind of entertaining.
It's entertaining as shit.
Okay.
Like that's.
But it happened in the real world.
Because nothing else we do happens in the real world.
I'm surprised you didn't see this. This is like all that was talked about.
This was on my Facebook and Twitter feed like the whole day, like all last week.
Oddly, Tumblr must have let me down.
Oh wait, yep. His first result. I type in kid and kid interrupts interview, and here it is. BBC interview goes wrong. I like the title already.
Scandals happen all the time. The question is,
okay.
Yeah,
now I know this one. I actually watched the video.
The wider region. I think one of your children has just walked in. I mean, shifting.
I love it. He doesn't break eye contact with the camera at all.
With the North may change.
Just shoving. And the toddler is in the room, and the toddler is coming in.
Pardon me.
Ooh, and the kid said, see what I love about that is that the wife comes in. She rockets in there. She rockets in like it's a fucking indie race.
The best part's about to come.
Here it is. Here it is.
Gotta get the baby through.
Yep. Okay, you think it's over. You think it's done. And she comes across with, like, on the floor trying to close the door. And it's like, she thinks like, oh, maybe the camera doesn't see me. Like, we see you. We see you.
And it's like the most adorable thing to ever happen.
Oh my god, it's so good because the kid comes in and you gotta see this.
And they're talking about something super serious.
Oh yeah,
South Korean impeachment due to corruption claims.
It's like I still don't know what that's about. Like I do not know what that's about.
Right.
No, I still don't give a shit. Because look at this kid as she walks in here. She owns this place. Look at her. Look at this.
She's got a swagger.
This is my room now.
She walks in and she is owning it. I absolutely love it. Like
bam.
Oh, so good. And the dad, of course, they had an apology video later. It's like, oh, it was fine, but you can tell in the moment he's just like, oh fuck.
This is my time to shine. This is where my doctorate in South Korean studies comes into play.
And then you go forward in the video and it goes because it's already close up on his face. Look at him. That face of just, oh no.
It's like my life's work.
It's like he's trying to activate his latent mutant power to somehow travel back in time 5 minutes to lock the door before this interview happens.
He's just dreaming of the Pulitzer he just lost.
And it was so close, and now it's gone. It's gone. It's forever.
Don't worry, you're gonna get some kind of internet award by the end of the year.
Yeah. And he tries to do the block off of the kid, like, no, what?
It's like, no, not now, honey.
So yeah, I just thought, like, man, that was hilarious. And I love how the internet, like, assumed that the wife was actually the nanny.
Yeah, that's awkward.
That was a big thing. So like, there was that. I was like, I was questioning on who she was as well too, because I just thought like, she did rocket in there like it was her job. Like she rocketed in there like she was about to get fired. But it could have been like, like, hey, honey, could you please watch the kids for a minute? And just been like, oh sure, I totally got it.
I'm gonna talk on live television with the BBC.
Yeah.
One of the most trusted news sources in the world.
I know, and then like, like, don't worry, honey, I totally got it. Go just focus on your view. I have this. I got this, right? And then like, can you imagine the look on her face? I want the camera to somehow, we need to find the origin story of her too, because, she's in the kitchen going like, okay, Chrissy, like,
ooh, why do you assume she's in the kitchen? Ooh.
Because that's where moms always lose track of kids. That's where my mom always lost track of me, because I knew mom's in the kitchen, she's doing something else, and I need to, and I go, like, that's from my life experience. But she could have been in the living room doing something else. Maybe she was reading a book, or maybe she was playing with them and the phone rang. I don't know. But something happened where she took her eye off the ball for 1 second, and then it was like, where are the kids? Oh fuck! Yeah. It's like
Occam's razor.
It's like, where's Daddy? Where is he? Oh no! I just like, I want like that. I want to know her story. I want to know the origin. I want the comic book, the issue one shot, the zero issue of it. I want to know it all. I love it.
Oh, I guess I can bring up another news story that again happened in the real world. You guys know how that snowstorm kind of blocked up everything in the East Coast for a bit?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 2 Texas congressmen from the opposing parties who never vote alike had to take a 1,600-mile road trip together to Washington, D.C.
That's a movie.
Yeah, I know, right? All that has to happen is somewhere past Tucson, they have to go across a drug trafficking ring or something, and they have to solve it together. And then they make it back to DC in some kind of ragged, broken down car full of bullet holes and stuff in time to vote on a bill. But they start voting on the opposite way because it's like they start seeing each other in a different light.
And then they make out.
It's like a political Dukes of Hazzards.
Yes.
And they freeze frame after jumping over some sort of legislation. Just like, well, the Duke boys have found themselves in quite a pickle legislatively yet again.
All I'm imagining is just them jumping over the Bill of Rights from the Schoolhouse Rock.
I'm just a holy shit!
Like we find out that the Democrat's like a big gun nut, and he's like keeping guns in his car.
Oh man,
to fight the cartel that they're about to go against.
He has a secret gun love affair.
We need to write this.
I call this one Vera.
Why do you have guns in your car?
Man, you're right. This writes itself, man. This is good stuff. This is good stuff right here.
And of course, the only motel they can find only has one bed available.
Yeah.
Thing.
It makes the Republicans super uncomfortable. Or maybe the Democrat, because the Republican sleeps naked, like, Taft.
Another thing that happened in the news too was your boy JonTron.
My boy JonTron?
Yeah, well, you watched the Game Grumps before. He was a previous Game Grumps guy, right? Yeah. He got in some trouble. I immediately thought, like, is it weird for me that when I saw that, my first thought was, wow, what a douchebag. And my second thought was, damn it, why didn't this happen a week earlier so we could have talked with the We Are Error guys about it? Because we missed it by a small margin.
Jumped ahead.
I was like, fuck! I thought everyone would have been, like, played it cool and been down after the PewDiePie thing happened. And now JonTron, went on for a whole, hour and a half podcast to talk about how discrimination is just discrimination based off of race is just not a thing anymore in America.
Oh, that's bullshit.
And he's like, and then the guy, I forget what was the podcast got, Destiny. I think the podcast was called Destiny. His Twitch stream. That's what it was. And he basically called him out. He basically just said what Kyle was like, dude, that's bullshit. You're and he's like, look it up, man. Look it up
where?
Look it up the crime statistics. You look at we can look it up, motherfucker. The stats don't back you up, idiot. So yeah, that was unfortunate. Not unfortunate for him because the Reddit, his Reddit page turned on him. It seemed like a lot of his viewership did. I was like, man, that's some fucked up thing you did there, which was nice to see that his followers didn't blindly follow whatever he said and make excuses for him.
Yep.
Cause it's not really defend, with PewDiePie, you can defend, he was trying to make a joke and he's painfully unfunny. That's my defense of him, which is just yeah, there's some defense to be made there with when you spout ignorant bullshit for an hour and 20 minutes.
And just remember who his base is, though. That's probably the biggest problem with that, is that kids are influenced by him.
Yeah. That's what sucks about that too. But we want to go to another scandal, or we want to go into our another scandal with the news, because Beauty and the Beast, I don't know if you guys heard about this, they're introducing a gay character.
Yeah, the first gay character.
Apparently it was a big controversy still, that they introduced a gay character, because an Alabama theater already says they are not going to show the Beauty and Beast movie due to the gay character.
Oh no.
And then
joining great company with Malaysia.
And Russia apparently is saying they may ban the gay scene specifically because they're not sure if it's legal, because gay propaganda is illegal there.
Yep.
And I'm like, that
passed in 2015.
That sounds weird, because that having the scene in it just says that gay people exist.
Yeah, that's propaganda. For Russia.
So let me look at the stats here. I'm going to do the calculations. Computer sounds. Yes, this is the dumbest thing on the internet this week to be mad about. Oh, congratulations! LeFou was always gay. He was always gay. Like, that was his whole thing, is that he had a crush on Gaston in the first movie. I'm not sure if he was completely gay or if he was just singularly, like, he had one crush on Gaston. I'm not sure what his deal was.
That's called demisexual.
But he wanted to fuck Gaston. I know that in my heart of hearts. That is for sure. And Disney is not making LeFou gay. They're just confirming it. That is all that is happening here. But yeah. I don't think that boycotting a big budget Disney film will probably work out for that Alabama theater. I would just be like, yippee, whatever.
You're losing out on actually a lot of revenue.
You're losing way more money than Disney is probably going to, like, nah, we're cool.
Actually, the bigger scandal I heard about this movie wasn't that.
No?
It was actually how badly Belle's dress looked.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yep.
That's the big thing?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen the dress yet. I can't comment.
Apparently it looks like a pink or a yellow napkin.
Yeah. But yeah, I like I like how that is, like, really a gay character in a, well, I guess the idea is that it's a kids movie. How dare they show different sexual orientations in a kids movie? What am I going to have to explain to my children? I don't know, explain to them that sometimes men have sex with men. There. That was super hard. Wow, man, it was such a complicated issue. I don't know how I got through that in that a half a second. It was weird. But I have solved it. There we go. UGO podcast solves how to talk to your kids about gay characters.
Do it.
Man, I thought the liberal tier section ended early. It's good that it came back. But yeah, if we want to move on to our next disappointing news story, not disappointing in the fact that, LeFou being gay being disappointing, the reaction to it was being disappointing, I should say. But this one is actually, like, it looks like the actual audience reaction is not that great, which is, Iron Fist has gotten some early reviews, and not a lot of them are good. In fact,
look up the Rotten Tomatoes score, Kyle.
last time I checked, it was at 14%.
Ooh.
14%.
How many people,
I think, last time I checked, it was like 15 critics.
Okay.
So, out of the 15 critics, like, maybe 2 of them liked it. I don't know how the percentage thing works on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's just a straight up percentage.
Is it straight up percentage? Okay, so yeah, like, not a great ratio for the early critics, but...
Ooh.
And to be fair, they've only seen the first 6 episodes.
Yep. Down to 13%.
Is it down to 13? Okay, how many reviews are on it?
3 out of 24 think it's good.
Ooh.
It's not so good.
Ouchie.
I'm given that's still a small sample size, but it's
Sure.
definitely not,
It's not encouraging.
It's not a winner.
That's not great. Well, and of course, Finn Jones, the star himself, the titular Iron Fist, has come back against critics, and he said this line, which is always the thing I don't want to hear, which is bad, because he says, well, I think there's multiple factors. What I will say is these shows are not made for the critics. They are made first and foremost for the fans.
Fuck off.
And I always go, ooh, they always say that. That's what they said after Batman vs. Superman. That's what they said after Suicide Squad. That's the go-to, like, oh, well, we didn't make it for the critics, we made it for the fans. Like, that's always their go-to for whatever shitty movie, like,
I'm
movie.
guessing your
property
fans
they
wanted
make.
a good movie too.
And the fact that a lot of these critics are big fans.
Yeah.
Like,
Oddly enough, critics are people too.
a lot of these critics have liked the previous Marvel films.
yeah,
and Marvel
Netflix series, yeah.
So that's such a dumb argument, and I wish you'd just not say anything at all rather than just, we made it for the fans, because that just makes me think, oh crap, I'm about to watch something not very good.
Yeah.
To be fair, I have not seen anything of it yet. And Kyle called it earlier where he said, like, well, this might be the best, my favorite Marvel Netflix show, or it's going to be my least favorite. But you were adamant that it was going to be either of those.
Yep.
Like, it was not going to be in the middle. Like,
No.
you knew from the get-go it was going to be one or the other.
I think I was calling it like the last trailer we saw for it. I was like, not digging this, but that's just my initial reaction.
Yeah, and of course, we could be talking about this a week from now, being like, man, I don't know what those
Fuck
critics...
the critics.
I don't know what those critics are talking about. That was a fun show. We don't know, but And to be fair, they like they said, they've only seen the first 6 episodes, and we all know how the Netflix series always get better in their last 6 episodes.
Honey.
We might be in trouble.
Yeah, even this one good one I'm reading is, if you love Netflix previous Marvel adaptations, Iron Fist probably will feel like a little like homework in advance of the Defenders.
Ooh, damn!
Yeah.
Man, I don't want my Marvels to be homework assignments. I don't want to be late to the Defenders test.
That one was from Julie Hins from the Detroit Free Press.
That's not too good. I don't want to be studying.
It'd be almost like you were continuing to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, man, I'm so off of that one. But I'm still watching the DC superhero shows, which, to be honest, are starting to feel like homework for me. Where I'm like, well, I'm watching Arrow, so I know more about what happens in Legends and Flash and that sort of thing. But yeah, we'll have to see how that turns out. Defenders, it might, because Defenders is only going to be shorter, it's going to be like 8 episodes. So that'll probably help out its pacing, and everything else has already been established, so that might be kind of neat. Let's keep going on this downer note here. Because The Matrix is going to get rebooted.
Why?
I don't know. It's rebooting everything.
Yeah. Well, because Warner Brothers is out of ideas.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Fair.
Think of where a good portion of these remakes are coming from.
And they're looking to get Michael B. Jordan to star. Like, he's a frontrunner right now. And let me see. I'm looking. I do not have a fuck to give. Damn it. I don't have one.
Well, Matrix was definitely too soon. I mean, we thought Point Break was too soon, but...
Well, Point Break, the thing with Point Break is it was already remade. It's called Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
Matrix was already remade. It's called, like, almost every sci-fi movie that involves, Inception.
Bullet time, yeah.
Inception, basically is kind of the same thing. Like Edge of Tomorrow has elements of it. Mm-hmm. Like, we've stolen the design of the fucking machines for almost all sci-fi bad guys.
Right.
The machine squid things.
And like Kyle said, the bullet time.
Yeah, and it's like, the argument I've always made for Point Break remake and the Starship Troopers remake and RoboCop remakes have been, those movies are so of the 80s that it would be hard to remake them and get the same message and the same thing that makes them special out of it, to the point where it actually just doesn't make any sense. Why wouldn't you just make something new?
Yeah.
Matrix, I feel the same way, but about the 90s. Like, it's basically, if you want to look where the inception of 90s style action was, it's in The Matrix and Blade. Like, that's where our type of action came from, and our black leather fetish, and our fucking, like, that's where that came from, and that's why the X-Men had fucking black suits for the whole time. Like, I can track back our action movies to The Matrix and the Blade movies. So, to remake The Matrix just does not make any sense. Like, you're not gonna capture the same thing. And the thing that was cool about The Matrix was that the trailers didn't, like, people forget this, but most people didn't know about what The Matrix was about until they went to go see the movie. Because the trailers just made it look like an action movie. Mm-hmm. And then the thing was like, oh shit, you're trapped in this reality world, and that was a big hook. Like, oh, that was cool. And that's, like, a lot of people, like, they had that initial reaction to it and were like, oh man, that's so fucking awesome that the trailers didn't spoil that for me. And then I don't meet anyone who likes the sequels more than the original. Mm-hmm. And I meet so many people who even like the sequels standalone anyway. Yeah. And, I just cannot muster up any excitement for that. I think that's a bad idea. I think that the idea of trying to make something that's based off of that early version of the internet, like, that's so specific to the time that I don't think you're going to get anything out of that. Mm-hmm.
Unless you put a lot of work into it.
But we have another reboot we might want to discuss, which is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles animated series gets a new 2D reboot at Nickelodeon. I don't know why. Because the 3D one seems to be, I thought it was doing pretty good in the ratings. Critics seem to like it. I tried to watch, like, I watched the first season and a half, and I hate that CG look. I hate it. It's so fucking ugly.
Yeah, I hate the CG as well. I don't know why people switched to that. First of all, it's also, well, I guess you can actually reduce the amount of animators you have to
and
a dude with a laptop.
It's super cheaper too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cheaper. That's the main thing. I'm kind of excited to see it go back to a 2D reboot thing. But again, it's kind of like the same track of like why Marvel seems to reboot their cartoons after they get a certain popularity. Like Spectacular Spider-Man, like, oh man, that was pretty good, and then we're rebooting it to Ultimate Spider-Man. And the Avengers cartoon, they got rebooted. But that was kind of Disney at the buyout stage of that one too, so that one had a little more going on in the in the scenes. I think that with children's shows like these, it's interesting because when you grow up with the show, suddenly your age demographic grows up with it, and kind of like the Harry Potter novels and films, you either grow with it or you want to go back to your market of the younger kids, and then you kind of got to go back to where you have to
start over.
You have to reset back to zero. And for the Ninja Turtles, they've done that so many times. Like that's happened so many times. Anyone remember the live action TV show with the puppets?
Yeah.
Next Mutation. It had 2 clip shows in it. It was 1 season. They had 2 clip show episodes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's pretty terrible.
Ugh. They did cross over with the Power Rangers though, so that was fun. So yeah, mark me down as curious, because I'm a big Ninja Turtles fan, and I would like to watch them in their 2D environment like God intended. To be fair, I actually did like what I watched of the Ninja Turtles show. I think
not how you watched.
It's
the animation was.
And I know it's me, and I know it's such a nitpick, but it's the reason I hated the Green Lantern series, and I never finished it. And the Green Lantern series was pretty okay too. Like, it was nothing spectacular, but it was alright. Batman, Beware the Batman has the same thing, and it was a shitty story on top of it. So I double hated that. I don't know. I just do not like that cheap looking style, especially when I've watched stuff like, Justice League Unlimited and Young Justice, where I've seen like all the effort that goes into it. I don't know. It really irks me trying to watch it. So, maybe I'll, it might be good for me to, return to a 2D format, but I'm not sure how, like, if they're in the middle of a story, if maybe some of the other fans are going to be pissed at the rebooting. I'm not sure. I don't know too many, current Ninja Turtle fans to ask. But, with that was basically all I had for straight up news. Do we want to just take a small musical break and then come back with the trailer talk?
Sure.
Alright, we'll be back right after this.
Raphael's got the most attitude on the team. Michelangelo, he's one of a kind, and he knows where to find it when it's party time. That's a split the time of every single skill they need to be one lean, mean, greedy, credit team.
Alright, and we're back with the trailer talk of the week. Oh, yes, it's been a while since we've done it. I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited. I'm super excited. What about you guys?
So many trailers, huh?
You guys don't look jazzed up. You guys don't look you got energy.
We don't know what's we don't know what's coming. You know what the trailers are.
You look trepidatious and like
what's happening.
You know what? Instead, I'm going to flip it, because I was going to start us off, weaker and build us up, but you guys look like you need a jet in the arm. So I'm going to start us off with the Woman of Wonder herself. Yeah. Let's watch this new Wonder Woman trailer that's got everybody talking. Like, come on, let's get it on, right?
Let's get it on.
Let's get it on with the Amazon, right? Wait, that's the porn I watched last night. That's different.
The gods gave us many gifts. One day you'll know them all.
Groups.
This is where we keep them.
It's beautiful. Who would wield it?
Only the fiercest among us even could. And that is not you, Diana.
Wow. Okay. Thanks, Mom.
You will
don't follow your dreams.
Than any Amazon before her. 5 times harder. 10 times harder.
Did she just Captain America that?
You expect the battle to be fair!
I see why not.
She is better than even you. But she must never know the truth about what she is.
Shit, I got magic. Oh, I thought she just randomly swan dive
What
for
is this
whatever
place?
reason.
Who are you?
It is our sacred duty to defend the world.
Right. Whoever you are in more danger than you think.
Be careful, Diana.
If no one else will defend the world, then I must.
Welcome to jolly old London.
It's hideous.
Yeah, it's not for everybody.
Gross.
Or maybe not.
I am Diana of Themyscira, daughter of Hippolyta. In the name of all that is good, your wrath upon this world is over.
Yep, that's not gonna work. Please put the sword down.
It doesn't go with the outfit.
At all.
Alright, so that was the third Wonder Woman trailer. I like how every tradition they have to end on one of their lame fucking jokes to remind everyone, this is still DC, we still don't know humor if it would bite us on the ass. But, that being said, there's some cool shit in this. There's some neat stuff. I like the design of the shield that she's got. That looks pretty rad. I kind of like the whole training aspect, the Themyscira parts. They are surprisingly colorful for a DC film.
Oh, yeah.
In the fact that they have colors that aren't blue in them. There's some greens and some yellows in there. That was neat. I like that.
Nice change of pace.
Nice change of pace. I kind of like the chemistry between Gal Gadot and Chris Pine, our Captain Kirk. I feel like that's pretty. That was neat. Cause he's trying to protect her, jumping in front of the bullet, and he's like, "Oh no, get behind! Oh wait, no, you got the magical bullet thing.
You got deflecting things.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you can go in front then. You're cool." So yeah, there's that whole thing with Hippolyta not wanting her to be her true Amazonian self, and to risk the dangers of the outside world. There's some neat building things. I kind of like how DC has gone, fuck it, we don't know what to do, so let's smash two Marvel movies together and see what we get. Let's smash together Thor and Captain America and see if we can't stumble together a movie.
Yeah, kind of. It's also like a period piece superhero thing. So yeah, that's almost exactly what it is.
Yeah, it is. It is like that seems to be the formula exactly.
Yeah, except for that still sounds like a way more interesting
I'm
movie.
just wondering where Doomsday's gonna come in.
No, here's my thing. Okay, so they're building up to this big bad, right? And they're saying that there's more to you than you know, Diana. So me being a comic books nerd, I think I know where they're going with this, and it's not great. So what I'm thinking here is that they haven't it before in the comics where, Wonder Woman is known as the woman with too many fucking backstories because they keep switching it on us. But the basic one is Hippolyta made her out of clay because she wanted a kid, even though the Amazonians were made immortal and they don't have to procreate for their society. They're all cool. Their population is set. Like, they don't have to procreate, so that's good because they're an island of women. They can. They don't got the dudes to do it. But Hippolyta still wants a kid, so she makes it one out of clay, and the gods give it life and give it cool abilities and shit because that's what the gods do when they owe you one. But they switched it in the comics later where it was like a reveal in the New 52 where it was like, oh no, you're actually the daughter of Zeus and you never knew. And I'm like, God, that's so fucking boring. Like, that is
because who isn't
Get
a child
in
of
line.
Yeah, who isn't a child of Zeus?
I know, and it's like, who cares? Plus, it takes away of her. When you take it from the original content made from clay on an island full of women, and I think it was even a female god that gave her form. She is a woman created, she has no man, a man was not involved in her creation at any point, except for the actual writing, of it, because that BDSM dude actually created her, which is weird and a really interesting story that is going to be on Netflix soon. I think they did a documentary about it, which I'm super interested to watch because that's a really interesting fellow.
Yeah, he also lived in a matriarchy. He had no father figure, I don't think. So.
Yeah, he had some interesting views on gender roles and stuff. He was
from way back then.
For back then he was a radical for that sort of time. He's an interesting guy, but for this one, it looks like because it's going to be this war thing, I'm thinking that it might actually be Ares that is the baby daddy.
Well, it is sure with a shot with lightning randomly.
It could have been that too, or I think Ares is probably the main villain.
Yeah.
But it's a crapshoot of who Diana's father is going to be, and I'm like, don't do that.
Diana, I am your father.
We already have a bunch of superheroes with father issues and that sort of thing, and it makes her way too similar to Thor. It takes away what's actually like one of the things that's actually interesting about Wonder Woman. So I hope they don't do that.
Well, if you're trying to sell this movie to me, you're failing.
Yeah, but that's just something I think they're gonna do. Like the things that I see in the trailer, I'm just like, and the thing about this is that it makes me think like, oh, this might be the one DC film that works out. Except for the fact that I've thought that about every other fucking trailer for every other DC film. They've always
except for Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
There's only one trailer you liked for that.
Yep. There's been a point where like I've always said that I'm like, oh, like why do I always think that this might be, because I want them to be good so much that I always think that. So I'm rooting for this one and the Aquaman movie, although I'm starting to hear bad things about the Aquaman movie too. So it's gonna be interesting, because this is if the Marvel Netflix thing with Iron Fist, if that's their first stumble, and then Wonder Woman comes out and is like, hey, it's their first good movie, we might see a dynamic shift here where DC can get gain some ground finally, because it's going to be the first major super movie role with a woman, like a superheroine. They're going to do the first big superhero.
But it is also thinking of what's the lesson they're going to learn from it too. DC's not the best at doing that.
You're going to try to recreate whatever was successful. So if this is a good movie and it is successful commercially, and if it's good, I'm going to go see it multiple times to reinforce that. as little as my $10 can do each time.
Please take lessons from this. This was your good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so mark me as that this is probably the best trailer we've seen for this movie, and yet it introduces an element that makes me even more scared than I was before that this movie's gonna suck. Like, it's such a weird thing with DC, is that even when they do good, somehow they fuck it up near the end. It's like this weird metaphor for how the whole company, the whole Warner Brothers production slate comes across. But with that, if we don't have any other final thoughts, maybe we can jump to our next trailer.
I'm still not feeling it. I'm just saying it right now.
No, you still.
That's mainly because of he's been burned by DC before, and he just doesn't.
Travis has been on the fuck DC train longer than all of us, so I think that he's
I'm
on
OG here.
He knows what it's like. Like, no, I've been just I like that Travis is always on that side. Like, no, come to me. You know that he's trying to come.
Don't wander off, children. Don't go off into the street. You're just gonna get hit by a car again. Yeah. Remember that, Jimmy?
Billy.
No, Jimmy Olsen. Remember, he got hit by the metaphorical car or assassin's bullet in BVS. Yeah, so mark me as like, hey, this is probably the best trailer, but somehow I'm less excited for the movie, which doesn't make any sense, but fine. Should we switch over to something lighter?
Sure.
How about Pixar? We like Pixar.
Sometimes.
We all like Pixar. Like, well, sometimes they got a really good batting average. Lately, they've been a little hit and miss, but how about we see what they do, because, our last Disney film was Moana.
Yes.
And the Disney seems to be on the track of doing the expanding culturally and diversity. So let's see their movie about the Day of the Dead. Let's watch the trailer for Coco.
Never underestimate the power of music. No one was going to hand me my future. It was up to me to reach for my dream, grab it tight, and make it come true.
All right, who's in there?
I'm sorry. What's going on? I'm just dreaming.
Did you just watch a kid die?
Yep.
Dante, wait up! Dante! You gotta stay with me, boy. We don't know where we are. This isn't a dream then. You're all really out there.
It's like the Book of Life and Spirited Away.
Ooh. You've just got a movie that I want to watch.
Yeah, actually, that sounds pretty cool.
And mixed with a musical, apparently.
Yep.
Yeah, so it seems to be, we only get like I should say it's a teaser, actually, not a full trailer.
Yeah.
And it's about this 12-year-old boy named Miguel who sets off a chain of events relating to a century-old mystery leading to an extraordinary family reunion. So I guess that man we see him with is probably like his dad.
Yeah, that's kind of what the...
Like, I hope that's not a spoiler.
Given the shrine there, it seemed more like a family shrine.
Yeah, or some sort of older family member, I'm guessing the dad. Mm-hmm. But apparently, somehow he unlocks his way into the land of the dead. Mm-hmm. Which... in, like Kyle was saying, the Book of Life always... if you remember, the land of the dead always looks super awesome. Like, it always looks super pretty. Which I find very hopeful. I was like, hey, if you die, you go to this super cool looking place. Like it's definitely neat looking. You'll love the scenery. Mm-hmm. You'll still be dead, but whatever.
Shit happens.
So yeah, I obviously don't have a lot to go off of, but just from the visuals, I want to see what Pixar does with this environment of like this marionette style Day of the Dead inspired scenery, where it's just like they have like those petals, like that orange petal stuff that they're like walking through, and it's like they're like leaves, they break away like leaves, but they also sort of kind of glow next to them, and it's got this feeling of texture that I like. So just from a purely visual standpoint, I'm like, wow, that's a visually scrumptious movie. Like, if just I don't have another word for it. Like, I went to my Willy Wonka vocabulary to describe it. But even for Pixar, which are known for delivering some great visuals, it looks super good. I don't know, what'd you guys feel off of it?
I'm still pretty sure, like I said, we just watched a kid die.
Well, he might have just locked his way into the land of the dead.
Well, like I said, spirited away. He
ended
up in the spirit world somehow.
He'll probably make his way out of it.
Yeah, probably.
Probably, right?
Yeah, because the dead never want to keep you dead.
And of course, the Disney, of course, is like, hey, the dad figure is already dead. Like, maybe it's a great subversion of the trope of like, no, Disney, you don't get to kill my father. I'm gonna go get his ass. I'm gonna go get him back.
Drag him back here.
I'm gonna go get him. I'm gonna go get those the two parents from Frozen that die in the ship. I'm gonna go get Aladdin's parents. I'm getting them all.
Round them up.
If they find all the dead parents in the Disneyland in the land of the dead, I will lose my shit in the theater. I will laugh so hard.
They should do it, but I don't know if they do those connections in the Pixar movies as often.
Yeah, well, they do sometimes. They cross over. Like, sometimes they have those.
Well, a lot of like, what is that? Pizza Planet trucks. And...
Yeah, they'll have small things, but nothing ever so overt.
Yeah.
Now I kind of want a dead Disneyland.
Come on, there's got to be at least a couple. Like, there's got to be at least a couple dead Disney parents in that place. Like, you look at that city. Come on, you can hide a couple in there. For me, Disney. For me. But yeah, on the note of death.
What?
Should we move on to our next segment, which is Travis's death? No, let's move on to the next trailer of a guy trying to avert death. Should we watch the trailer for Baby Driver?
Maybe.
Yes, he's driving babies apparently
to their death or to their life.
I don't know. He just says Baby Driver, so maybe he's either driving with babies in the backseat, or he is driving very giant babies. I don't know.
This one you say listen to the music all the time?
Is he mental? Mental meaning slow. Was he slow? No. He had an accident when he was a kid. Still has a hum in the drum. Plays music to drown it out. And that's what makes him the best.
Right, that was nice.
One more job and I'm done.
One more job, and we're straight.
Now, I don't think I need to give you the speech about what happens when you say no, how I could break your legs and kill everyone you love, because you already know that, don't you?
Yeah.
The moment you catch feelings is the moment you catch a bullet.
And your waitress girlfriend, she's cute. Let's keep it that way.
I want us to head west and never stop. You in?
I'm in, baby.
For once, they're all red instead of all black cars.
I like it.
One of these days,
The bad guys are still gonna drive all black SUVs.
Face the music.
Baby, we need to get out of here.
I have to end this. Are we in bed together now?
Baby.
Baby?
Baby.
Doc said said Michael Myers.
This is Mike Myers.
It should be the Halloween mask.
This is a Halloween mask.
No, the killer dude from Halloween.
Oh, you mean Jason?
No.
That was Baby Driver. So that was interesting. Is that the fucking idea of the Edgar Wright directing this action film?
Yeah, that's weird.
Normally we know him from stuff like, say, At World's End, Hot Fuzz, and of course Shaun of the Dead, sort of like subverting these normal, like, generic kind of genre films. And now it looks like Edgar Wright's just taking a shot at just making an actual genre film, which is interesting to me. I think it might make for a good movie, although the trailer is just like that.
Well, the trailer is basically looking like a teenage boy gets shot at by a bunch of fairly decent named actors.
Yeah, man, there's so many good actors in this thing. Like, there's John Hamm, we got John Bernthal, the Punisher. Let me ask you something, baby. Shane, as I like to call him. Mama called him Shane, I call him Shane. And of course, Kevin Spacey as our bad guy. Of course, I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I don't know, the premise is a little generic. I kind of like the fact that, like, they're going to sell the soundtrack based off of he has to listen to music because of some sort of disorder.
Major tinnitus.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah, he has to drown out something like maybe he hears some sort of tone or something. He has to drown it out with music.
Yeah, I hear tinnitus is actually brain thing, not an ear thing.
Oh, okay. So he might have, so that might be interesting, or at least it might be a cheap way to sell a soundtrack. I don't know. But, with Edgar Wright behind it, I am curious. I definitely want to at least give it a shot, because that guy, I've liked everything else that guy has done. And I would definitely like. And apparently, he's had this idea for this movie for a long time, even right after Shaun of the Dead, I think.
Oh, that was a while ago.
Because he wrote this one too. Like, he's had this idea in his head for a long time. Like, he really wanted to do this movie.
Could be good then.
So yeah, we'll have to see. I think it's playing South by Southwest right now.
Oh, okay.
I think it'll be. So we might have some early reviews to see on it pretty soon. But yeah, could I drag you guys along to see a car chase with me? Yeah, I mean, I'm not normally one up for car chases, because I feel like car chases, like every action movie has the same 4 car chases in it. So
they did show some good stunt work.
It did. Like, there was a couple of things that I'm like, okay, I have to admit that looked pretty cool. And to be honest, if I didn't see Edgar Wright's name on it, I'd be like, nah. I would have completely skipped it. But like, I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll give it a shot, because I like that guy. I like the cut of his jib. But with that, should we move on to our next one?
Yeah, all right.
We have Charlize Theron of Mad Max fame. She's got a new one, a new trailer called The Atomic Blonde. We got the Red Band trailer for us here. Should we give that a try?
Sure.
More and more red bands these days.
Yeah, it seems to be popular.
Lorraine Broughton, an expert in escape and evasion.
Hey there, Queen. Haven't seen your trailer in a minute.
Proficient in intelligence collection.
Let's cut the crap, shall we?
And hand-to-hand combat. It's an impressive set of skills.
Talents can be overrated.
Oh man, this is Liam Neeson's daughter growing up.
Lorraine, how well do you know James Gascoigne?
Enough to say hello.
He's dead. Find out who's hunting down our operatives. A lot of brave men and women are going to show up dead.
I don't know, I'm just always excited when I see John Goodman now.
Gotta see him enough before he dies.
Welcome to Berlin.
Fuck's sake.
Trust no one. Oh, bollocks.
You look like you need saving.
So you made contact with the French operative?
Obviously.
I think I fucking love you.
That's too bad.
She's a killer queen.
Are they gonna finish this? Okay.
Oh no. Yeah, man.
We finally have a female James Bond.
Man, when you does it ever work with anyone when you get a rope around your neck in a movie?
No.
Like you know exactly what's about to happen to you. Like you're getting flipped off of something high and choking to death, or there's something where it's gonna pull you. Something is happening where it never works. So yeah, would you believe that the main thing online that people were talking about this? Like apparently there's some trolls online saying like, man, she because she's a woman, she wouldn't be able to she'd be knocked out after that first hit. That was unrealistic. Like,
Kyle, would you like to?
I was just like,
to that.
I know a few women you can fight.
Yeah, and
I
I'm
know
like,
a few women you can fight.
And I was just like, okay, you guys, take a punch and see how long you last too. And one, okay, so if you're complaining about that, then you have to complain about Black Widow and the fucking Avengers movies because it's basically the same character.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like.
Except for this one shot better.
Black
Widow's got like 18 different cuts in every single fight scene with her.
Yeah, I did like the opening sequence where it's like this one shot.
Long.
And yeah, so I do like Kyle made the jokes like it's Liam Neeson's daughter. Like just
well, they said wow, that's an impressive set of skills. Oh my god, it's Liam Neeson's daughter.
Like Liam Neeson just perked up like, huh? What was that? Did somebody call me?
So there's a movie basically called Taken Back.
Yeah. And of course we have the French agent she makes contact with, which is interesting. I'm like, oh cool. Then we have a prominently gay or at least bisexual James Bond character. That's neat. I think I actually kind of like that. I couldn't agree more with Kyle. Of like, oh, this is basically a female James Bond. It's based
Except for with more action.
It's based off of a comic book.
Really?
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, and the comic book is super dry from what I hear. I've only seen like the first issue because I got the first issue online for when I saw this trailer. I was trying to check it out, and it's not like this. It's like
James Bond.
No, it's not like James Bond either.
Really?
It's like boring spy stuff. It's like Tinker Tailor Soldier spy stuff. Like it is like down in the humdrum style, meeting shadowy operatives and waiting for people and very little action. So this trailer, like they must have changed it completely for the movie because this, like none of this shit happens, at least in the first issue that I read. None of anything even like this shit happens. But yeah, I like the little subtle details too. Like she brings up her collar to like kind of hide her face right before she's about to fight the cops. I don't know. I think I quite enjoyed it. It could be just the Queen song. Maybe the secret formula for a trailer is that you need to play a Queen song somewhere in it.
It would do
and
something.
then people are going to dig your movie. They're going to want to go see it if they dig that Queen song in
Maybe
there.
you just have to not play a slowed down version of a song.
It could be. I don't know. Because at first when the trailer first starts up, I'm like, Queen again. God damn it! And then by the time it ends, I'm like, damn it! I'm liking this despite myself. She's the killer queen.
Well,
damn it!
in all honesty, even without that song, that looked awesome.
It did look pretty good.
Like the cinematography's there. It's got John Goodman in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a couple of other actors that we've seen before, and Charlize Theron kicking ass.
It had Arlen Sola from the Captain America movies, like that dude. Like I forget what the name of the actor is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it had James McAvoy. It's like is kind of her sidekick. It looks like.
I think I love you.
Too bad. That's too bad. Maybe you should be a sexy French lady. Maybe it'll be a little more into you. But yeah, Comey is very excited. I want to see Charlize Theron star in a John Wick movie, basically.
Yeah.
Because I was getting some of those vibes off of the shots
so
too.
was I.
But yeah, I for anyone who's saying that like a female can't play James Bond or something, I'm like, well, maybe they can because that looked fucking rad. I'd watch that.
Also, it doesn't take balls to shoot a fucking gun, assholes.
No, it doesn't take balls to shoot balls off of balls. But yeah, I would say
I'll show you someone that can choke you out.
Yeah, well, and then Charlize Theron, she's really tall, man.
Yeah.
She's super tall.
Tall lady, yep.
Like, she's a big chick. Like, I would not want to fight her.
And plus, those guys actually aren't big enough. See, there's a thing with people about my size. Unless you're like 250 and packing huge triceps, you're not knocking anybody out. Like, if I got in a professional fight, I'd be one of those people who have to go all the 5 minutes. Whereas all the knockouts happen in heavyweight and higher.
It takes a lot of, like, actual human force to actually hit someone hard enough to knock them physically unconscious.
Yeah, either that, just good timing and good location. Like, I mean, recently, McGregor got a lucky shot off on somebody. And I say lucky, he's a very skilled fighter with really good timing. It's just that he was also fighting another really good fighter, but in order to actually get a hit off, you need to leave yourself open, and he hit that opening just in time.
Okay. So that was but, you know, dumb arguments on the internet. Who knew?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I'm super excited. I'm definitely down for that. Down for anything that comes up with that. But should we jump to our next one?
Sure. Is that any good?
Of course, I've saved the best for last, Travis. Of course, saved the best for last. We're going to end on another superhero film.
Okay.
Which, of course, is my favorite superhero franchise, right next to the Marvel Universe. Almost as many films as the Marvel Universe. But yes, let's check out the next trailer for The Fate of the Furious.
All right, team, listen up. This crew is about family, but the game has changed now.
How did it know exactly where they're all going to be?
Dominic Toretto just went rogue.
You gonna turn your back on family?
Drink!
I know it looks bad. Don't give up on him so easy.
We've only got one chance to make this family whole again.
Drink.
Don't do this, Dom.
You ready?
One thing I can guarantee, no one's ready for this.
She's the very definition of high-tech terrorism.
There's thousands of cars in this city, and now...
Oh my god!
Now I know what it feels like to be every cop ever chasing us. Wait!
It's like lemmings.
London, Abu Dhabi, Cuba. Our paths have crossed before, Don. You just didn't know it. I think I need to remind you why you chose to be here.
I got no choice.
It's like, oh no, she can control our cars, which means she can control our powers.
You want to tell me why you just put me in a room with this tea and crumpets eating criminal?
You don't think that tight t-shirt's cutting up the circulation in your brain? You should get bigger size.
You guys are gonna work together.
Love to.
I've been waiting for this. We got a tank. Now it's my turn. Boom, baby.
Oh, and so she takes control of the nuclear sub.
They just don't give up, do they?
You thought this was going to be a street fight.
Is that a torpedo?
Take the wheel.
Is that a monkey?
Oh my god, really? No, Nick.
Alright, you get style points for that one. I don't know why you're doing this, but I know one thing. You love me.
Fire!
Hang on to your ass.
Yes!
I gotta say
all of it, yes!
That looks like absolute shit.
Yes!
Nick's gonna love every second of it.
Woo! Oh my god. That trailer had everything. Okay, let's recap. Alright, so, of course, being car superheroes, they have faced all of the
zombie flood of cars.
Of course, that's the next step, Kyle. That's the Blackest. It's the Fast and the Furious version of Blackest Night. The cars are now turned on them, and they have no self-preservation anymore, so now a herd of cars is chasing them. And I love how even Ludacris is like, oh man, I feel now like what the bad guys must feel like when they're chasing us. All this stupid shit happening and really getting in our way.
This is really improbable.
Like, this kind of sucks when it's turned on us. Like, yeah, now you know how it feels, having dumb stuff happen against you, rather than for you. Yeah, so she gets to... What's weird about that is that what just came out like a week ago or something, the CIA was like, hey, they actually could take control of your car and not well, drive it, but they can hit the brakes and they were saying we might be able to do some assassination type stuff with taking control of people's smart cars and stuff. I like that they come out of buildings out of nowhere. Like, how did they get up there? That was weird.
It might have been a parking garage.
Like that, they probably
what parking garage has glass?
It goes
Kyle, they're controlling cars. Leave me alone.
And I love it. It shows that there's no one in them, and that's because in this universe, no one ever gets hurt in their chase sequences. No. And I'm like, no, so many people died. Yeah. So many people died. Like, you guys. And then
men, women, children.
There are some rich people in New York City who in their skyscrapers have car elevators that go up to their building or to their room.
Mm-hmm.
See, there you go.
So you see that they just took a bunch of car elevators and timed it out so they knew that they were coming down this exact street, therefore jumping down. And then of course you think it stops there. Like, no, we can get even dumber. Like, there's no depths to the level of because that bad guy from the last movie that spent the whole movie trying to kill all of us, he's a good guy now. Like, well, why? Because he is. Because we'll give him a deal or whatever, and he'll forget.
Because we need the team-up movie.
And we'll forget. He'll just forget that we tried to kill his brother or whatever. Because that's how these movies work. If you didn't die in the previous ones, and people like you enough, you become part of the crew. Mm-hmm. Like, that's how it works. Jason Statham is now part of the crew now. Like,
yep, The Rock, part of the crew.
Mm-hmm. I even hear Helen Mirren's gonna be in it.
Okay, I'd watch
Helen Mirren's gonna be in it because she begged for a part. She loves this series. Helen Mirren's a big fan of the series, and I can't blame her. I know
this sounds like an Onion article.
I know exactly why she's a fan of it. And then of course the fucking torpedo comes up above the water on the ice, doesn't blow up when it hits the ice for whatever reason, because the other one did blow up when it hit the ice, but this one doesn't. So I don't know what that means. But it's sliding along them driving, even though it doesn't seem like anything is propelling it anymore, because that doesn't gives
momentum, I guess.
Well, there's no, because a torpedo, there's turbines behind it, so there's nothing propelling this thing forward, but it's magically keeping pace with this car, so the Rock has to get out, slide style ski, and then redirect it towards the bad guys, so that the torpedo can blow up on them instead. And I'm just like, yes, full points from the Nick Judge. 10 out of 10. And at this point, next movie, it better be space, because that is the only thing left.
That's what you said last time. That's what you said last time.
I didn't take into account submarines. That was my bad.
Or zombie cars.
I forgot about submarines. I forgot about my 80s bad guy plots, because Charlize Theron is going to obviously take over that nuclear submarine and fulfill her 80s style villain dream, because Russia is bad guys again.
She found the Red October.
Screw the hunt for Red October. Oh, what the shit is this? Oh, what's a Charlize Theron? God damn it! I always knew I'd die towards magically phylactery riding car junkies. I knew that was my fate, like the old gypsy woman shed. 10 out of 10. Yep.
Nick. Yeah. Remember how much you hate when people rate movies or shows before they see them?
Yes.
Remember that?
But I didn't tell you, Travis, that it doesn't count for the Fast and the Furious movies. They don't count when they're dumb car movies.
Fine then, 4 out of 10.
It's amazing. It's like, no, you're not giving ratings on the show.
I am.
This looks like absolute trash.
Yeah. Isn't it great? You're gonna watch that motherfucker with me. You don't know it yet, but you're gonna be in that theater, and you're gonna be like, this is dumb. Why am I liking this? You will like this, Kyle. You will like it. You will go and see Fate of the Furious, and you will like it.
And this has to be one of those stupid movies Nick pays for.
Yeah.
I'm paying for it myself to see it 3 times, so I might as well shell out might as well just give you the tickets that I'm going to use myself, because I was already going to pay for 3 tickets, like, whether if you guys weren't going to come and see it with me anyway. So, yeah. Oh yeah, and we didn't even mention that, Vin Diesel has a chain Ratchet and Clank, like, chainsaw weapon with, like, his spinny, whirly blade of doom.
I don't know what that was.
Like, what is that?
I don't know.
What practical purpose does that serve?
It looks like a Jaws of Life.
Like, so
there is practical use then.
And...
Except for, like, a deadly Jaws of Life.
The Jaws of Death.
The Jaws of Death.
Yeah, and, yeah, I want to see them fight. I want to see the Fast and Furious crew fight, Russian space, or Russian submarines. I want to do that.
Next they're gonna find Bigfoot and the Yeti, and it's gonna be...
Ooh, if Bigfoot... Oh, if it turns up into straight up wacky races, I will...
Oh god, Kyle, why?
We really should. That is something I would totally watch, is the wacky races with the Fast and the Furious guys.
Oh, if they cross over, that'd be so good.
We talked about that last year.
They have to do that or cross over with the Transformers. It has to be one of them. You know, and patent pending can be a surrogate for Doc Brown, and then they can make a DeLorean that'll travel through time if you get it up to 88 miles an hour. And there's places we can go with this. We can make this franchise last forever.
Even if we shouldn't.
No, Finn, we gotta go back. We gotta go back to...
And that's just Vin Diesel in 20 years.
We gotta go back to 1980. We gotta save the start of the franchise. We have to save the first Fast and Furious movie? No, we have to save Point Break. We have to get to Point Break. Yeah, but, this would be the point where I asked what you guys thought, but I don't care. I don't give a shit.
We know.
I do not care. This is all for me. That was all for me. And, as far as my opinion goes, this film will be amazing. There is no room for doubt or speculation. This film will simply be what it is, and that is perfect.
Sean the Believer.
So, look forward to our review on that, because it will be glorious. And that'll be super fun. But with that, I think we can bring trailer talk to an end, unless you guys have anything else to add.
No.
You got nothing? No?
We're not allowed to, so it's fine.
Well, you can if it's praising the Fast and
4 out
Furious
of 10.
trailer. It's a 4 out of 10? 4 out of 4, Travis? Is that what you're saying?
That's a weird rating system, and no one in their right mind actually does that.
Yeah, actually, one of
in
the best
their right
raters...
mind. He's crazy.
He's crazy. He's dead now.
Are you calling Roger Ebert a madman?
Yeah.
Are you calling him a madman, sir?
Yes.
Well, he didn't like one of the Fast and Furious movies, so obviously...
maybe I changed my mind.
He is human. He is fallible. Man, these movies, they are the dumbest thing in existence, but for whatever reason, they're like high art of shit. It's like if a dumpster fire was beautiful.
It's the pinnacle of shit.
Like, it's like if Picasso, like, spent all of his time just painting with a garbage fire. Like, it was just this glorious mishmash.
No, because surrealist work does not translate to film well.
No, yeah, that's true. I'm mixing my metaphors. Michelangelo, there we go.
There we go.
It's the 16th chapel.
16th chapel.
It's the
16th chapel, not the 16th. But the 16th chapel ever made. You know that Mud Hut one? Yeah, I agree with you, Nick. Now off to our interview.
Because I can apparently no longer speak.
Good that this is pre-recorded.
Yes, of course. But with that, I feel like there's no better way to transition to diversity in comics, since we just watched one of the most diverse cast in an action franchise. So fuck you for anyone who thinks you can't make a action franchise out of with a diverse enough cast. Because point disproven. It's absolutely fantastic.
They've got 8 movies, and trust me, they're gonna make more after watching that.
They're already up to 10. There's gonna be 2 more after this.
Now, making a good movie with a diverse cast, that's a different thing.
Fuck you, this is a good movie. They are good movies. They're good, bad movies. But with that, let's go to our interview with Randy Lander, and we'll be back right after this musical break.
Professor told me when I was young, I was born with superpowers. I slick my hair, put some spandex on. There ain't no yellow suits like ours. Government thinks that we're a threat. They don't have the right to say. You can't shoot laser beams out of your head. You might have trouble getting laid. I'm a mutant, not gay. I think I made a mistake, but I'm an X-Man, baby. I was born this way. Come on, yourself in our school. Iceman keeps it so cool. We are the X-Men, baby. We were born this way.
And welcome back to the UGO podcast. And I have another repeat offender, I like to call him, but Randy Lander of Rogues Gallery Comics and Games, of the TV Dudes, of the Roguecast, and of the Randy Plays Games on oneofus.net. You know what? I never realized this, but you are a man of many hats.
I am, and this is not the first time I've been called a repeat offender, but that's a different story.
Oh yeah, that was a whole legal thing. I remember it.
Yeah, we don't like to talk about it. The lawyers prefer me not to talk about it on the podcast. So
mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to say you have so many hats. You're a man of so many hats that I thought you're probably trying to start a late '90s hip hop career. But I almost expecting to drop some slang. But I brought you on today to discuss a thing that I'm growingly concerned about. Now, it's diversity in comics. I've seen the articles going around, and just from what I've read, I thought I'd bring on a comic book shop owner to get their perspective on it. So, Randy, first question. Diversity. Why is it killing comics, and why is it the worst thing to happen to comics in the last 150 years? Even though comics have not been around that long.
Well, first of all, it's probably the second worst because you got to put chromium covers pretty high up there.
Ooh.
But no, the diversity discussion is very disturbing to me because it's easy to get on one side of it and be like, oh well, if you don't like all these characters, you're racist. And on the other side, it's easy to get on and say, well, you know, the diverse characters aren't selling, and everyone wants to make this sort of a black and white issue, and it's not a black and white issue. There is one of my store manager and one of my friends who's African American are two of the big vociferous people who kind of want the originals back. You know, they want Steve Rogers as Captain America. They want Thor as a Viking dude. They want the traditional characters, and that unfortunately means a lot of white male characters. And it's not necessarily a race thing so much as there is a comfort food element to superhero comics. Mm-hmm. And I think that when you're offering up something like, say, Sam Wilson, Captain America, which, by the way, is one of my favorite books.
Oh, it's so good.
Or another example like the female Thor, you're not exactly offering you're not offering broccoli or Brussels sprouts here. It's still fun, escapist entertainment. But it doesn't hit that same sweet spot they might have had when they were reading that character when they're 13 years old and they're used to this certain type of character. So I get where there can reasonably be someone who says, I don't like Sam Wilson being Captain America, and they're not being a racist. Mm-hmm. That said, it disturbs me how the sales have dropped a little bit because to me, I think Marvel is on fire creatively. I love Sam Wilson. I really like what was done with the female Thor. I've not liked a lot of what Bendis has done with Miles Morales, but I think Miles Morales is a great character. And I think that in creating a more diverse – and I'm only talking about Marvel here, I realize. I'll get to more stuff. But I think that the reason that we're all talking about this right now is that there's a big rumor going around that Marvel's going to revert back to its, core characters. And where does that leave Sam Wilson and Lady Thor and, all the other characters, Miles Morales, all the other characters who have been a part of Marvel's diversity? And I think that there's a bigger question of whether or not it's not just racism or discomfort, but I don't understand why Marvel, who are at sort of a creative peak for me right now, aren't resonating more with people. I think these books are great, and regardless of the characters in them, I think the craft is great, and I'm surprised that people aren't seeing that part of it.
Sure, and let me pose this to you. I think I agree with a certain segment of just the old guard wanting the old characters back. I think that has a big thing to do with it. I will say that I feel like there is this knee-jerk reaction to a lot of older fans where they just don't like change at all, it seems.
Yeah.
Do you think it's an age issue? Because me, as a younger reader, I'm 26, I fully embrace almost all of the new titles. I like almost all of them. because reading comics when I was a little younger, like, well, I tried to get into comics in the 90s, and that was a mistake because everything was awful in the 90s, not just comics, but the thing with the new guys coming in taking the mantle, I find that it's shaken up Marvel, and it's got me reading Marvel again, because I wasn't reading Marvel before. I took a really long break, and then suddenly this huge shift happens. Suddenly you're right, it's Jane Foster as Thor, not as a female Thor, and it's Miles Morales is coming in as a new Spider-Man. Spider-Gwen got so popular from Edge of the Spider-Verse, she got her own title, and that's great. Miss Marvel got promoted to Captain Marvel, and she got an overhaul and became more interesting. The new Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, I think, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but she is.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
She's a very, very interesting character. She's probably one of my new favorite characters ever, because what I realize is that this Muslim female character is me. She's me. She's me in that universe, because she became a superhero and now is hanging with all these people that are like, oh my god, this is awesome. I just read an issue where she just met up with Spider-Man for the first time, and because he dated Miss Marvel at like one point in the continuity, she's all like, oh my god, I always loved your relationship. I always shipped you guys together. Please answer every one of my 1,700 questions about your relationship. And Spider-Man's like, we went on one date, back off. You're freaking me out. But I'm like, okay, this chick is me. Like, if I became a superhero in that universe tomorrow, that's exactly how I would act. And I love having that connection with this new character. And I feel like it's an interesting mix of previously known characters being given the mantle, like Laura becoming X-23 becoming the new Wolverine makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's always where that was kind of shifting. Laura always being taken under Wolverine's wing, and I always thought that's actually really interesting, because Wolverine is one of those characters that I always felt like, maybe you'll disagree with me on this, but I thought Wolverine got so overexposed to a certain point. He became like Deadpool is now.
No, I don't disagree with you on that at all. I think Wolverine's a great character who the more you do with him and the more you reveal about him, the less interesting he gets. And I think that let me take a bunch of that in reverse, because I think, to start off, I think the All New Wolverine book by Tom Taylor is one of my favorite books at Marvel right now. I think it's a fantastic comic, and I've never been an X-23 fan, but it's retroactively made me an X-23 fan. It's great action comics. It's everything that Wolverine fans should want out of that character, and I think they've done phenomenal stuff with it. And then Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan. The good news is, regardless of where this new initiative goes, and which is still a rumor, Kamala Khan's going to be around. She is at this point what Peter Parker used to be for the Marvel Universe. She's the young point of view character who still thinks this is all really cool. And I think G. Willow Wilson earns a lot of credit for creating a character that is very obviously based on her experiences. Like, it's a very realistic portrayal of a Muslim teen girl, which I am definitely not, but in such a way that it is so approachable to anyone who reads it. When you read the issue where she goes back to Pakistan and talking about sort of the differences in living in America and living in Pakistan, the differences in her family and all that kind of stuff. And that mixes with, the trials and tribulations every teen goes through with romance, and then as you mentioned, the fangirling. It all ties together and makes just this really three-dimensional character who I think is going to be a continuing presence in the Marvel Universe, because she didn't take a legacy away from anyone. She's Miss Marvel, but Miss Marvel has been promoted to Captain Marvel, as you said, and that was a successful take as well. That's going to be in the movies. That will be enshrined, and that's a safe change, which is good. I will defend the 90s, by the way, because I was reading comics in the 90s. Not all of it. There was some terrible stuff, but 90s did get a Starman over at DC.
Okay.
And there were some highlights. There were some spotlights. The indie market was great. Bone was coming out, and there was new Grendel and that kind of stuff. So there was stuff in the 90s. It's just that Marvel and DC were locked into some kind of horrible platinum chromium wars that were just not doing anybody any good. But we also got Hitman out of DC at that point, so there was some stuff in the 90s. You can't write the whole decade off.
That's fair. I mean, I felt like I was over exaggerating that point, but as a kid, I was trying to look at comics and get into them. Like, man, I think I really like these, and then I saw pouches and muscles, and
sure,
it was. I'm like, oh, maybe this isn't for me. So
the 90s committed many, many sins, and the last thing is on the age thing. I do think that's possible, although I'm a 45-year-old guy, and I love all these new characters. Like you, I'm completely in love with where Marvel is at right now, and I don't think it's just an age thing. I do think to some extent it is. Some fans want a certain thing out of comics, and some fans want different things, and I think you can see this even in, say, the Marvel Cinematic and the DC Cinematic Universes and the Marvel TV stuff, where some fans absolutely love the Netflix stuff, and think that the cinematic universe is too sort of goofy and light. Some folks love the DC universe stuff and think that again Marvel is too goofy and light. And I think that people want different things out of their characters, and that's okay. It's just that we're in a mass media market, which means that if not enough people like their take of the character that you like, it's going to go away.
Right. Well, I suppose we should take this to the movies as well, because I heard I forget who I was. I think it was Movie Bob Chipman that did an article or did a piece on what he thought of the diversity issue, and he was like, I think he made the argument that it doesn't really matter if the sales dip a little bit on the comic book level, because what Marvel seems to be doing is farming out intellectual property, so that when the movies need some new blood to take over for some roles, they have plenty of options to go with. Once actors' contracts go up, maybe they need some new characters, and then tackling their movie diversity issue, where it's of course a bunch of white dudes still. So I thought that was probably that was an interesting take, and probably has some merit.
It's an interesting notion, but I've been hearing a variation on this for the last 20 years that that DC and Marvel are mostly IP farms for Warner Brothers and Disney and whoever was owning them at the time. And I don't know that I 100% believe it, because these are still companies and they still want to make money on everything. Like, they're not going to just keep publishing comics that aren't making any money if they think they can publish ones that will make money. And especially at Marvel, but even to DC to some extent, you're definitely seeing they're not married to the comics continuity at all when it comes to the movies. They're drawing on it, but they're going to go their own way, and the comics usually adapt to movies rather than the other way around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that I definitely agree with. That seems to be very much so, since we'll see Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. characters suddenly become part of the comics and that sort of thing. So yeah, that I definitely agree with that. I think it could make the transition a little easier, though, because I know I got into surprisingly enough, I was at a comic book shop just last week, and I got into an argument with an attendee and the comic book shop owner, because we were talking about this exact thing. Shocking! I got into a fight about an argument about comic book stuff in a shop that for no reason like that. No reason that should happen ever, but. The main argument they were saying is that they didn't want, they thought it was weird that like characters like Riri Williams like would come out of nowhere and take the Iron Man suit when, the niece of, War Machine, was established and was around and could easily have taken it over. And I was like, wait, War Machine has a niece? Like, what's her name? What's her name? And the guy was like, I'm not sure. And I'm like, well, there's your reason. Like, yeah, that's the reason that, like, because no one knows who she is. It doesn't really matter. But
well, and I see this argument all the time from both sides of the argument. I saw people who were griping that. I saw a lot of people saying that they should not have made a female Thor. Why didn't they make a new character? Why didn't they make Valkyrie a series? And the issue is that these names, these icons, have a certain cachet as far as sales go. Mm-hmm. And a Thor #1 is going to sell more than a Valkyrie #1. That's just the truth. That's just the way it is. Same with an Invincible Iron Man #1 is going to sell more than Riri Williams or Ironheart #1. There's a reason that they're using these identities to piggyback onto. And then the notion of, well, why don't they use this obscure character from the 80s or 90s that nobody knows about is, well, why would they want to be shackled to someone else's creation when a creator's working on their own stuff? there's no upside for them to have more continuity to deal with when they're trying to create and launch something new. There's an upside to using Iron Man or Thor. There is no upside to using War Machine's niece. There's maybe 4 fans of that character in the world, and they're probably going to be unhappy because you do it wrong.
No, I could not agree more with that. To launch a new character, a completely new character without any previous ties like that, Marvel is not willing, or no DC or no superhero company of the big two are not willing to take that risk.
I don't necessarily blame the companies. I don't think, and I've been in retail for 20 years or so. 15 is Rogues Gallery, and then I've worked previously, and it's really I've watched this happen over and over again. Someone tries to launch a new, completely original character, and most of the time it falls flat because the audience isn't ready for it. The audience of superhero comics is looking for little, as we talked about earlier, familiarity, and you gotta offer a little familiarity in with the new if you want it to take.
Yeah, because we were just talking about the new characters that spun off, like Miles Morales' Spider-Man, Spider-Gwen. Those are characters that spun off from a story that was super popular. People really like that, but people don't remember that like there was a bunch of other characters that got introduced in Spider-Verse, and not all of them got a own comic. Like
right,
the numbers game is it's very rare to see a new character like that take off.
Well, in the 90s, there was a bunch of characters introduced at Marvel, Terror Inc. and Solo and Slapstick and a bunch of other characters who just recently reappeared in Deadpool and Mercs of the Mouth. And I don't know, but I have the suspicion the reason all these random characters were thrown into Deadpool and Mercs of the Mouth is that it was a way to keep the trademark in print. But that was the last time that I think I remember Marvel sort of making a big initiative to try and launch new characters who had nothing to do with any other characters.
Yeah.
And nobody remembers those characters. They're now being put together as a random team for trademark use. But they've learned their lessons well, which is that if you throw a bunch of new stuff out in the market, fans don't go for it.
Yeah, and to prove your point, who the hell is Slapstick? Is he? Was he the clown dude from New Avengers?
I think he was in New Avengers. He's a living cartoon, basically. He's the Mask from Dark Horse.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, now I remember. Okay. Yeah, okay, point proven, because I was just like, I do remember him, but he's way back in the recesses of my brain of just like, of useless comic book knowledge, and I'm like, I think I know who this guy is.
But I think that's the biggest argument for why diversity is sort of hand in hand with legacy characters, which some people don't like legacy characters, and it has nothing to do with diversity argument. They may be people who are in favor of diversity, but they don't want the legacy character thing. That happened at DC too, where it wasn't a diversity thing because they were all more white dudes for the most part. But there was a time when, Green Arrow, Green Lantern, Flash, and Batman were all replaced with other characters.
Mm-hmm.
And that worked really well for a while. And then they rolled it all back because eventually the legacy thing doesn't seem to work long term.
Yeah, that was a very interesting thing because it was another case of DC and Marvel copying each other, because Batman was replaced by Dick Grayson, and Captain America at that time was replaced by Bucky.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually found like, man, that's really interesting. I mean, in the back of my mind, I knew it would never stick, but I thought while it was happening, I thought it was a really interesting take on those characters. And then for Green Lantern, that one seemed like it was gonna be permanent. I remember when they the big controversy over when they replaced Hal Jordan with Kyle Rayner, and that was a long one though. And then with I think it was the similar situation with Flash, Barry Allen being replaced by Wally West, and it was so long that I feel like the fans just had finally gotten used to the idea of this new guy taking over. And then they switched it back again, which I thought that was so weird, because I'm like, oh, they finally have committed to making this big change. You rarely ever see that. And then seemingly out of nowhere, they brought back the original characters. Maybe they're waiting for that lull of false sense of security to bring them back. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna shake it up. You didn't expect that, did you? And I'm like, okay, yeah, but I kind of, you finally let me learn to like Wally. and Kyle. I really like Wally West. In fact, I grew up more with Wally West than I ever did with Barry Allen. So for me, Wally West was the Flash more than Barry Allen was.
Right, and I'm in the same place. I actually really like Wally West. I was not a Kyle Rayner fan, but I knew a lot of people who were. And then when they finally replaced him with Hal Jordan, I was kind of happy to have Hal back for a little while. And then I realized how boring, and that probably they were right not to replace him. And I think that's the thing. We've had this whole thing for the longest time where everyone who's cynical about comics, which is anyone who's been in comics for a while, we're all like, ugh, another death. They're just going to roll it back. Another legacy character. They're just going to change it back. Why they bother doing it? And then on the flip side, when they actually do it, when they change legacy characters and leave them, like Marvel's been sticking with theirs for a while, DC stuck with theirs for a long time. Then they get dinged for sticking with it. So there's really a damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I feel like here's an example. Like we as comic book fans always hear like, well, why don't they do something different? Like, oh, we never believe anyone dies. Like, why don't they do something different with these characters? And then when they make Captain America a Hydra agent, like that's legitimately something they've never done before. Like like it or not, it's something they have never done before. And then suddenly they get dinged on it because it's like, how dare you make Cap a Hydra? Like that's un-American. And I'm like, well, they rewrote it with, like, even before I knew the twist, I'm like, well, obviously they rewrote reality with the Cosmic Cube. Why are you freaking out?
Right.
Which is always a weird argument for me, because I'm always like, oh, the reason I'm not mad is because obviously they rewrote reality.
We'll say this about Cap Steve Rogers, which I've been reading and enjoying, and I'm a big fan of Nick Spencer. I realized as they keep going through his origin that we've come to a point where Captain America had to be sort of either oblivious to or okay with the Holocaust because he's working with Hydra. And I'm like, man, that is hard to walk back. And I start thinking, okay, I'm starting to see the essential problem here, which is there may be some stories you shouldn't do, and it all depends on how they resolve it. But there are some problematic aspects, in particular to that story, because Cap and Hydra is so tied to the Nazis, which is such a real thing. And I'm like, you kind of got to dance around it, but it's always there in the back of your head. And I do think that I understand where people are coming from on that, even though I think that a lot of people sort of knee-jerk reacted to it instead of giving the story a chance to breathe.
Right. And, I think that's absolutely fair. Although I think a lot of people who don't even read comics suddenly got offended because they just knew Captain America and was like, what? He's a Nazi now, or like that's how they understood it. And I'm going to bring up something that I know I shouldn't because it's going to make me mad. But I was watching, before we started the interview, I was doing some research on possible other sides of the argument. So I watched a Fox and Friends video.
Oh God!
Which was awful. Like,
you do for your listeners, man? I would never do that for my listeners.
No, it was bad. And they were talking about when Falcon first took over as Cap. It was a video from back then.
Yep.
And of course they were like, oh, they completely avoided the issue of the black guy taking over for the white guy. They totally avoided that because they realized, like, oh, that's not a good topic. So we're going to focus on who he's fighting. And it's like, oh, he's fighting this guy, the Serpent, Lord Serpent or something. And he's like, oh, he's fighting conservative. Well, you see the new Captain America, he's against conservatives. That seems fair. And then they proceeded to have. Okay, I said I wanted to look at the other side to be fair, and now I realize how hypocritical I'm going to be because I'm about to insult these people for their dumb argument, which was, you know what? I call me crazy, but I liked it back when Captain America was punching Hitler. I mean, I don't know, like, why can't we go back to that? I'm like, because it's not the 40s, you idiots.
Yeah.
And then one of the respondents like, I don't know, I think you should just keep politics out of comic books. That's my opinion. And I'm like, what? Comic books, they're all about politics. They're all about what's happening at the time. That is okay. But yeah, shockingly, I disagreed with Fox and Friends. The FF, the evil FF, if I like to call them. But yeah, the idea that the villain that he was fighting was hurting people. He was killing people at the immigration border, keeping people out. Obviously topical. And they portrayed him as the bad guy because he was taking, no matter what you think about immigration, he was taking the law into his own hands, and that's not good. That's the villain right there. I mean, I think we can all agree on that, right? But apparently, no. Now we have to justify ourselves for if it's okay to punch Nazis. Actually,
the funny thing on that is there's always a weird self-identification factor going on there. Like none of those guys read the comic. They had a synopsis for them presented to them about what happened, and they self-identified as the villains. Because they didn't read and see that, the bad guy's basically doing a corporate speak kind of, he's corporate villainy. And Spencer has sort of a sarcastic sense of humor. And he was finding it funny, the links between sort of corporate villainy and super villainy. And the same thing with sort of, the best thing that Spencer does, and the thing that Mark Gruenwald did, which was Spencer does a lot of style from, and characters from Gruenwald's run, which is my definitive cap, is that comics are best as metaphor. And if you can do a metaphor for, immigration and, corporate malfeasance and that kind of thing, it's going to be more effective because you want these guys to be in costumes and you want everything to be resolved by fights. And that's not how the real world or real politics works, but it's how superheroes work. So when they're identifying with a guy who dresses up in a snake suit and uses corporate speak to create a serpent society, that tells you a lot about where their head is at. It's a very us versus them kind of thing. It's a well, this guy, they want to knee jerk against something without understanding it, and it tells you a lot, I think.
Yeah, to be fair, Randy, they're worried about the depiction of all snake people. I mean, not all snake people, Randy, not all snake people. That is funny that the fucking Fox and Friends immediately identify and get defensive about this corporate villain. It's projection 101, but
yeah, I mean, to some extent they're right. Spencer is making fun of those guys, but he's doing it in such an outlandish way that for them to see and look and see, he's making fun of conservatives. I'm like, yeah, but this is exaggerated. It's the same thing. Spencer did a story recently where he had sort of these sort of uber liberals attack a conservative speaker, and they were they were talking about safe spaces and that kind of thing, and it was parodying sort of the extremes that the left can go to, and some people on the left got upset, and I'm like, guys, don't self-identify with the problems. look at what he's doing here, and he's pointing out you should nobody know what side he's on.
Yeah, I love the fact that to poke at either side, the initial reaction is never to self-reflect and go, oh, maybe some of my stances are a little ridiculous. Maybe I should reflect on maybe this guy has a point. It's always to be super defensive and go on the attack. And I think that speaks to a lot to our political situation right now, is just that the idea of that no one can ever apologize for anything, no one is ever wrong, and there's no room for self-reflection or self-improvement. And hopefully that's minority people on the left and right, both extremes, that there's hopefully, I like to think there's plenty of people in the middle that do get the message and do see through with the metaphor and through the snake outfits what exactly is going on. Although I would like to hit some Fox and Friends in the face with an adamantium shield, or with a vibranium shield. I would like to do that, admittedly. And if they could dress up like snake people, I think that would be hilarious. I think their ratings would spike. Their ratings would spike. Okay,
I agree. I think Steve Ducey should take one for the team.
Yeah, definitely. But before I wanted to wrap it up, I did want to say that I think part of the rating, or part of the sales dip as well, also has to do with some other contributing factors, not just the fact that they've changed so much, although that is probably contributing to it. We also have to admit that DC is really kicking ass right now with Rebirth. I'm not sure what your feelings are on Rebirth, but I quite enjoy it. It's shocking to me that not only Marvel has gotten me back interested in them, DC's Rebirth initiative has really gotten me interested in them as well.
Well, as a retailer, I love what Rebirth has done. Well, some of it. I love that it's brought people back in. as a fan, I'm still not reading ADC. I gave it another shot, and the people at DC right now are just not writing the version of the characters I'm interested in reading. And I'm off. I think everything except maybe New Superman and the new Justice League of America I'm liking so far. Although I don't know how long I'll stick with it. But I do want to say the one thing DC Rebirth has done from a retail point of view that is hurting sales is they're in order to keep the price point at $2.99, they're producing shorter comics and they're doing them bi-weekly. And what that means is essentially you're paying $6 for a slightly longer story, but it looks like you're paying $3 instead of $4, and it looks like it's a very clever move because it looks like Marvel is overcharging for their comics and DC is charging the right amount. But if you actually compare them, the page count is not so different, and the pacing is really off. Like, it takes a long time for those stories to go anywhere because they're bi-weekly. And also, the bi-weekly ordering is a goddamn nightmare because if someone decides they don't want Nightwing all of a sudden, like they've gotten tired of it, then all of a sudden I'm sitting on 3 or 4 issues instead of 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And it's really impacting us. And Marvel does this too, especially when they launch a book. They'll put the first 2 issues out so that you don't have a chance to do what's called final order cutoff, where you get to adjust your numbers. So you have to take a chance on 2 issues instead of 1. And with both publishers doing that, it's really hard as a retailer to stay on those razor thin margins and not have either too fast sellouts, which can kill you, or too much dead inventory on the shelf, which can kill you.
No, man, it's interesting you bring that up because I've stopped with the single issues for the most part. I usually read in the graphic the paperback, the trades now. I read in the trades, and you're thinking about the pacing. You know what? If I think about the pacing overall in between the segments, like the chapter headings, the individual issues, I think I actually have noticed that, and it's just been in the back of my mind. And I'm like, oh, okay. And
once it gets the trade, it's not as noticeable.
No, because it's all collected and it's all actually flowing. But now that I think about that, and if I imagine 2-week period in between, that does sound a little off to me.
Yeah, it's a very clever. I give credit to whoever at DC editorial or marketing came up with it because it's a very clever way to make it seem like their books are much more affordable. Mm-hmm. But in fact, I think it's damaging the brand. And I do think it's going to cause the same spike we saw with New 52, where there's a huge amount of interest early on, and then people slowly just get weary of it because it's taking too long to go anywhere.
Sure. Yeah, I think I could see that. Maybe I'm riding the high right now. Although I was never on board on 52 from the beginning.
Yeah.
Maybe it's been so long since I've read Batman and the Justice League that I want back in so much. So
well, I will say, even as someone who's not enjoying it personally, from what I've read and from what I've seen the reactions, it's definitely of a higher quality level than New 52 was. It didn't commit some of the sins that New 52 did that people really didn't like. It's still not what I want.
Sure. Well, even they're bringing in some diversity as well. I know they're heavily promoting the new Bat team with Batwoman as kind of the general.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really cool, giving her a more prominent role. I think they even introduced one of the previous villain as a new transgendered character in their issue. I have not read it, but I was reading the story about it. It sounded really interesting. Yeah, so the DC is also making some moves in that direction as well, trying to be more inclusive, which is good. We should give them credit on that.
Oh, sure. I mean, like I say, New Superman is a character based in China, and it's written by Jean Lun Yang, who is a fantastic graphic novelist and is doing a great job. So they're definitely hitting their diversity base a little bit too. I will say, I think that I still think that there's more that could be done. And I don't know if the audience isn't ready for it or if the people in charge aren't ready for it, but you look and there are some great diverse books out there. I don't know if you've read Black by Black Mask, but that comic is fantastic. It reminds me of the heyday of Milestone.
Oh, I actually have not.
It's a great book. It's basically the conceit is it's almost a Matrix-like. It's a different reality almost because the character discovers that he has superpowers when he's in a officer-involved shooting. And it turns out that only black people get superpowers, and there's sort of this underground organization that is gathering the black superpowered people and training them. While, as you would expect, the sort of white government is not thrilled that all this power rests in the hands of only black people. and it's fantastic. It's a really good book, and it's done by the artist is Jamal Igle, who's been around comics forever and is a really talented guy. But there's also Lion Forge, which is the guys. They have a few things. The Voltron comic. They're launching a series this summer called Catalyst, which is going to be a shared universe, and it looks to be much more of a deliberately diverse line. Writers include Brandon Thomas, who's doing Horizon over an Image, and Joe Illidge, who's a former DC editor, and I believe also a guy from Milestone is sort of in charge of it. And I think that's going to bring some. It's going to be interesting to see if someone can launch a successful shared universe, because people try it. I mean, Valiant's doing it still successfully right now, but it's definitely the hardest part of the market to break into.
Indeed. Well, the Black sounds really, really interesting. I imagine an underground, like modern day underground railroad for superpowers. That sounds rad. I cannot wait to try that.
It's a great series.
Yeah, and I know that some of the other companies are also trying in. Lumberjanes is a prominent female led book. I think Saga has always been about including so many allegories for all types of different marginalized races and gender inequality, and Image has been really good about it in particular, if I had to give a shout out to Image.
Oh, sure. I think that the one thing that's going to stick regardless is that we have seen a big movement towards gender parity. And we're still not where we should be. But female characters and gay characters and LGBT characters, actually, we're definitely seeing more of that, especially in Image, but also in, say, Boom's Kaboom line that is creator-owned and often all ages. Things like Brave Chef Brianna that came out last week, things like Lumberjanes, like you mentioned. DC's Gotham Academy, which crossed over with Lumberjanes. We're definitely seeing a push to realize that not only dudes read comics, and that finally seems to have stuck and doesn't seem to be in a position to be rolled back, which is good.
Yeah, I find that awesome in a great way. And I was looking at the numbers, and it seemed like that was actually, there's a different parity, is that digital comics sales are up. And a lot of them are up with female readership. Like a lot of female readers actually read digitally rather than going to a store, which I thought like might be a little indicative of the type of environment they want to avoid. But it's good that they're reading the comics either way. I think that's great.
Well, I think that's interesting because I think that might also be an age thing, like you mentioned. I think that people who haven't traditionally been comic fans aren't necessarily going into stores to get single issues. They're going to be reading digitally. But those sales aren't necessarily keeping books afloat yet. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, either the graphic novel sales aren't as strong as I think they are. Based on my story, I would think they would be. But maybe the graphic novel sales aren't enough to keep books going that aren't doing in single issues. Because we sell a ton of Miss Marvel in graphic novel format. And, you know, that book is in no danger of going anywhere. And I think that's national. I think that's not just us. And I think that we have a lot of our audience that's younger, a lot of our audience that's women. There are people who come in and they don't buy single issues. They come in and they buy trades every few weeks or every few months. And I think that that's a different audience. And I think that's everyone wants to talk about, you know, whether it's the diversity or the legacy characters. And the thing is, I think there's 8 or 10 different reasons why sales do what they do, and figuring out why something sells, why something doesn't, is never going to be as easy as, well, is this because people don't want black characters or they don't want female characters? I don't think it's that. I think it's that there's a lot of different factors, as we've noted, which is, you know, format, everything else, and that Marvel and DC are definitely in that point of trying to sort of spike the sales every now and then because they want to put them back up to sustainable levels. And in order to sustain it, you just got to spike the sales with maybe an event, which is wearing thin on people. Like there's only so many times you can do a Civil War. Mm-hmm. And so the next possible event for Marvel that I can see is bringing back all these characters that people sort of missed. I think, honestly, if Marvel could put together an A-list team for Fantastic Four, that could be a top 10 selling book for them now, because it just did need a little bit of a rest and come back really strong. But I think that you need a bunch of stuff relaunching. Look at what Rebirth did. The Rebirth was all the characters getting new number ones, and it wasn't about what race or what gender the characters were. It was a new initiative being launched. And I think that's kind of what Marvel's looking for here.
Yeah, I think, that's a very well thought out, nuanced point that you made. But I think the internet would disagree with you and say that, no, there is one reason that the comics are not selling, and that we just need to figure out what it is, get rid of it, and then everything will be fine forever.
Well, I would not want to disagree with the internet.
No, you do not. It's a fickle mistress.
it's ugly. You don't want to do it.
But yeah, you were absolutely correct that the female, to go back to your point before, the female readership is up and the female representation is up, along with LGBTQ representation. I mean, Iceman is gay now, which is cool.
Yep.
Which I hope was inspired by the Top Gun, by a Top Gun reference at some point.
I could see that.
And if it wasn't, I hope they never tell me, because that's my headcanon, and I would like to keep it that way. But Harley Quinn is a very interesting character because she rocketed in popularity, and now they've given her own number one. She is now no longer, previously she was no longer dating Mr. J. And now they've actually brought Joker back, and now he's trying to portray that he's changed for her, which is a storyline we've never seen with those two characters before, which I like. Wow, you got to admit that's actually pretty interesting. I don't know where it's going, but I would actually like to see. It's got me interested in reading a Harley Quinn comic, which I thought would be a little too depressing with that abusive relationship, but they've managed to make it very nuanced to make her a strong female character, which good on you, DC.
Yeah.
And with that, I think we've been at it quite a while, man. We've covered so much, so many. We didn't even get to Amadeus Cho, my favorite new Asian Hulk, which is cool. But I think we can wrap it up here for now. Maybe if when Marvel eventually.
I think we've pretty much solved everything. We took care of everything.
We've taken care of everything, and then if we haven't, when Marvel crashes and burns and has to come crawling to us to figure out how to fix it, then we'll have you back on the podcast to fix everything yet again. I think that's our pattern, and I like it. Anyway, Randy, it's been lovely having you. Always a pleasure. Would you like to tell the people where they can find you on the interwebs and all your different podcasts and all your different hats, like we mentioned before?
So many places. Yeah. You can find me at www.thetvdudes.com, which is my weekly TV podcast I do with a few other folks here in Austin, Texas. You can find me at Permanent Record. That's RCRD, which is the TV network I'm a part of, and I do a comic book segment on their Marvel TV Binge every week, just a short one. You can find me at www.roguesgallerytx.com. That's my store website, where we do have a Comixology shop, where if you shop through Comixology, you can shop through that portal and we get a little cut, which we appreciate. And you can also find our Roguecast, which is a weekly pop culture and comics podcast that we put up on there every week, and we're also on iTunes and all that stuff.
Well, it's absolutely fantastic, and you guys go check their stuff out. I'm a big fan, especially of the dudes, the TV dudes. And if you would like to stick around after this musical break, we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming right after this.
Randy's comic book corner. Everything is happy in Randy's world.
And we're back. Oh, that was a great interview. I always love talking to Randy. Great guy. He always leaves me feeling pretty good. I always like to leave that feeling he gives me. I always like to say, feeling Randy. It's definitely the way he leaves me.
Do you need a room?
But yeah, I definitely do, because he's a handsome man. I should know that. Actually, I've never met him in person, but he sounds handsome. Sounds delightful. But with that, I think we can bring this episode to a close. And so, thank you so much for listening and listening to our crazy antics and our love of the Fast and the Furious films and whatnot. Or one of us particular incoherent, one would say obsessive love with with those films. But we also talked about some other great shit. We solved talking to your children about gay relationships. We accomplished a lot on this podcast today. I feel great about it. So thank you, Travis. Thank you, Kyle, for joining me for another successful UGO podcast. It was successful for us, okay?
It existed, therefore
sliding scale. And with that, if you guys would like to suggest a topic for us to talk about or just want to say hi, you can do so at any of our contact information, which is all available on our webpage, unapologeticgeekout.com. Of course, you can send us an email at unapologeticgeekout@gmail.com. Send us a Facebook message. Maybe give us a like while you're there. You can also follow us on Twitter at UGO Podcast. Instagram's the same thing. And of course, like always, if you have time, you could write us a review on iTunes. That would be super helpful. Helps us out with visibility and all sort of that good jazz. And in exchange, we will read whatever goes in that description box, or review box, I should say, on the episode, word for word. That is my guarantee. So if you have something you'd like to promote or something just silly you'd like me to say, that is always an option available to you. And with that, I think we can get on out of here. Until next week, guys, we are Unapologetic Geek Out, and we're out.